We will see the features of norma lateralis. Now here you can see this is the temporal fossa. This temporal fossa here above it is bounded by superior temporal line. Below and laterally it is bounded by upper border of zygomatic arch. Below and medially it is bounded by infratemporal crest of greater wing of sphenoid bone. So this is below and medially. Anteriorly, temporal fossa is bounded by posterior surface of zygomatic bone, then frontal bone and part of sphenoid bone. So this is anterior boundary of this temporal fossa. Now in the floor of this temporal fossa, you can see H-shaped suture at the junction of frontal bone, parietal bone, sphenoid bone and temporal bone. This H-shaped suture, this is known as the pterion. Below this pterion, there lies the anterior division of middle meningeal artery, middle meningeal vein and stem of lateral sulcus of brain. This is known as Sylvian point. Now, how to locate this pterion? Now, it is about 2.5 cm behind this frontozygomatic suture and it is around 4 cm above zygomatic arch. So this is the location of the pterion. Now here, in case of road traffic accident, if there is trauma to the skull, then here this artery, that is anterior division of middle meningeal artery, may rupture, leading to the extradural hematoma, and this compresses motor area of brain, leading to paralysis of opposite side of body. In this case, trephining is done here at this site of pterion to extract this hematoma, to relieve the compression of brain which is lying below this. So this is the pterion. Now here we have seen just now the boundaries of temporal fossa. This temporal fossa, the floor of it gives origin to the fan shaped muscle which is like a Chinese fan, that is the temporalis muscle. This temporalis muscle arises from this temporal fossa excluding the zygomatic bone. This tendon of this temporalis muscle, it passes deep to this zygomatic arch and it is inserted on this coronoid process of the mandible. So here there is origin of temporalis muscle. Other than this temporalis muscle, structures passing deep to this zygomatic arch from temporal fossa downward, these are the deep temporal nerve and deep temporal vessel. Now this superior temporal line which we have seen in previous lecture, it arises, it gives origin or attachment to the fascia which is covering this temporalis muscle. This is the temporal fascia. This temporalis fascia superiorly attached to this superior temporal line and inferiorly it is attached to the upper border of zygomatic arch. The superior layer is single layer while this inferior layer it splits into two parts, and these two layers are attached to the outer and inner lip of this upper border of zygomatic arch. Between these two layers of this temporalis fascia, there are the nerve and the vessel. This is the superficial temporal artery and zygomaticotemporal nerve. These are lying over this, between these two layers of temporalis fascia. Lower margin of this zygomatic arch, it gives origin to the masseter muscle. This masseter muscle also arises from inner surface of this zygomatic arch, and this muscle is inserted on the lateral surface of this ramus of mandible. So this is the insertion of this masseter and origin from this lower border of zygomatic arch as well as inner surface of zygomatic arch. Now here posteriorly, that is articular tubercle. This tubercle, it gives attachment to the lateral ligament of temporomandibular joint. So here there is attachment of lateral ligament of temporomandibular joint. This mandibular fossa, here you can see it forms articulation with the mandible to form temporomandibular joint. Now behind you can see here there is external acoustic meatus. The margins of this external acoustic meatus, they are irregular and they give attachment to the cartilage of the ear, auricular cartilage. Now here between this tympanic plate and mastoid bone, this is the tympanomastoid suture. In this suture there lies the auricular branch of vagus. So this is the nerve, that is the auricular branch of vagus. Now here you can see this is the mastoid process, temporal bone, and it is a traction epiphysis because it develops because of the pull of the sternocleidomastoid. So it is a traction epiphysis, and this process is absent below 2 years of age. That is, it is absent in the children while it develops after 2 years. This process, it gives attachment to 3 muscles from before backward. These are sternocleidomastoid, then splenius capitis, and then longissimus capitis. So these are the muscles attached to this mastoid process. Here you can see near this occipitomastoid suture there is a foramen. This foramen is known as mastoid foramen. This mastoid foramen transmit emissary vein, which as well as this mastoid foramen transmit the meningeal branch of occipital artery. So these are the structures passing from this mastoid foramen. Now here you can see there is a notch behind this mastoid process. Posterior belly of digastric muscle is arising from this notch, and here only the groove behind this notch, it is related with the occipital artery. So this notch is for the digastric belly, posterior belly of digastric muscle. Medial to this mastoid process, you can see this is the styloid process. Usually it is long. Here I am coloring it with here chalk. This is the styloid process. This styloid process, in Latin the meaning of styloid means it's like a pin, and here it gives attachment to 3 muscles and 2 ligaments. The muscles attached to this styloid process, these are stylohyoid, styloglossus, stylopharyngeus muscle. While the ligament, they are attached, they are stylohyoid ligament and stylomandibular ligament. So together they are forming styloid apparatus. So this is the styloid process.
Here it is broken, styloid process, here it is broken. Usually it is a long process which you can see on the normal laterals.
Yes. Now we have already discussed about the asterion, which over this, in the fetal skull there lies the mastoid fontanelle, that is the posterolateral fontanelle, and this closes by 12 months of age. And at the site of pterion there is anterolateral fontanelle. Now again we see some of the attachment. We have seen the temporalis muscle arising from temporal fossa, masseter muscle arising from this inferior border, while the lateral pterygoid muscle, it arises from this lateral plate of pterygoid muscle, and medial pterygoid muscle arises from medial aspect of this lateral plate of lateral pterygoid muscle. Now here we have seen this is the temporal fossa, and below this is infratemporal fossa. This temporal fossa communicates with the infratemporal fossa, and again you can see one more fossa. This is the pterygomaxillary fissure. Deep to this there is pterygopalatine fossa. So this is about this.